This is Getting On With Life, Biblical Wisdom for Successful Christian Living, and this lesson is moderation. People understand we should enjoy things in moderation. Excesses, such as drunkenness or gluttony, are frowned on. Some even know of those as among the 7 deadly sins, first discussed in the 6th century. The 7 deadly sins are pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, including drunkenness, anger, and laziness. Their opposites are humility, charity, chastity, gratitude, temperance, patience, and diligence. Where do we see moderation in the Bible? We see it as a principle, reflected rather than stated. For example, we are told that honey is good, but that eating too much honey will make us feel sick. So we are to enjoy what is good, but measure how we imbibe. That's one of the principles of moderation. We moderate or measure what we do, controlling our actions so they are appropriate for the situation. The Bible does not forbid drinking wine or strong drink, but it warns of excess drinking and drunkenness. Wine was commended as a medicant for Timothy's stomach, but also described as something that makes a mockery of us when consumed without moderation. In 1 Timothy 5:23, Paul said, "Drink no longer only water, but use a little wine for your stomach's sake and your frequent infirmities." And in Proverbs 21, Solomon said, "Wine is a mocker, strong drink is a brawler, and whoever is led astray by them is not wise." Moderation is another word for self-control, or temperance. It's where we temper or measure our actions to suit the situation. That is often spoken of in the Bible as a fruit of the Spirit, and a lifestyle discipline we are all to employ. Galatians 5:22 and 23 says, "The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, meekness, temperance, faith." And 1 Corinthians 9:25 says, "Everyone who competes to win is temperate in all things. They do it to gain a perishable crown, but we do it for an imperishable crown." We come under the lordship of Jesus. To be under a lord means we have to submit. To be able to submit, we must be able to control ourselves. That's self-control, or temperance. If we have no self-control, we are like a wild animal, unpredictable and out of control. Godly self-control is where we have died to selfish motivations and are free from the enemy's controls over our impulses. It is where we have the ability and desire to submit our whole life to God's control and lordship. It is where we are free to do God's bidding as and when He prompts us. We grow in self-control, temperance, and moderation by realizing our need to not indulge our impulses, then see the strong tide pulling us out of control, then submitting the area of our slavery or weakness to God so the Holy Spirit can set us free. That might mean repenting of giving our will over to sin and Satan. It might require us to forgive those who lured us to compromise our will and actions. It will require us resisting the devil and evil that gain control over us. And it will require us to give our shameful self with all its weakness to Jesus for His deliverance. Starting point, especially for youth, is to see that they are out of control in certain areas. It may be speech, thinking their ideas and opinions are to be aired freely, like a fool who always wants to be heard but whose words are like the sound of kindling crackling in a fire. Proverbs 12:23 says, "The wise keep their knowledge to themselves, but a fool's heart blurts out folly." And Ecclesiastes 7:6 says, "As the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of a fool. This also is vanity." Self-control may be missing where a person reacts or overreacts to things. It could be when they speak their mind hastily, exposing pride, greed, lust, or other evils within. It could be when they jump to a conclusion without thinking the matter through, or on hearing only half the story. It could be when they gorge on their favorite food, or spend their money without thinking of future needs, or want to enjoy a treat immediately instead of at a more appropriate time. A person who lacks moderation will overdo things, going to excess, making more noise, saying too much, or taking too much, or the like. A key to learning moderation is to learn deferred gratification. A child will want their treat as quickly as possible. They may shove a lolly in their mouth or stuff themselves with their favorite things, as if their life were about to end. Deferred gratification is recognizing that a treat can be enjoyed later, and may be more enjoyable at an appropriate time or if shared. It also recognizes that some things are meant to be kept within boundaries, such as moral boundaries. So lust and greed cannot be indulged, but proper enjoyment will come in due course. These are lessons of the heart that are worked out in practical disciplines. So there is a heart attitude and a learned discipline working together. And there's wisdom involved as well. When we consider life and how things work out, we see the fruit of gluttony, greed, immorality, pride, selfishness, and so on. Wisdom teaches us to fear God. Such fearing God is the beginning of wisdom. Proverbs 9:10 tells us, "Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." God rewards us for our actions, paying us the wages we earn by our sin, and the wages of sin is death. So a wise person living in the fear of God sees that selfishness, indulgence, lust, pride, etc. are poisons in our life. We are much healthier, happier, and richer in truly valuable things when we live with moderation in the fear of God. Those who would be successful in any field of endeavor know they have to be temperate, self-controlled, to avoid pitfalls and optimize potential. That's moderation. A ruler, sportsman, or businessman can't afford to be drunk. They can't afford to be undone by reckless living. We've seen many examples of successful people whose lives fell in a hole by chasing things they lusted after, or living an intemperate life. We have seen those who lived a quiet and peaceful life, faithful, dutiful, reliable, consistent, restrained, and wise, who lived a life rich in the best of things to enjoy. Friends, think about where you stand as one who has moderation. Are you excessive in any area? Do you talk unwisely, eat indulgently, pander to your lusts and selfishness, act hastily, spend freely, reveal secrets easily, or react rashly? You are destroying your life by lack of moderation. I challenge you to choose an area where you need more self-control and call on God to break whatever makes you out of order. Place your life at the feet of the Lord and ask God's Holy Spirit to work in you until your life is a model of moderation. God bless you.